Order. Seeing that we do not have a quorum, we're going to begin as a subcommittee. And with that, Senator Bernskoetter, if you don't mind coming forward to present your bill, Senate Bill 1286.
Mike Bernskoetter. So I had a constituent who was working part-time to help out our local school district, and she went to a professional development conference and received $250 stipend, but that put her in excess to limitations in the law, and because of that she lost out on a full month's pay. And this legislation would allow for a more common sense solution to this type of problem if it should arise again.
Thank you, Senator. Does anybody have any questions concerning this bill? Okay, is there anybody to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1286? Please state your name. Obviously, a professional knows to bring your sheet forward and all that kind of stuff, Mike, so please begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, for the record, Mike Moorfield, Chief Counsel, PSRS Peers, testifying in favor of Senate Bill 1286 today. We appreciate the bill sponsor bringing this forward, and we appreciate the opportunity to be able to work with him throughout the fall and some crafting on some of the language. As the senator said, this arose from a constituent issue that the senator had that frankly has been a long problem in our statutes. And that is the penalty provision for working after retirement, where it is a shall forfeit 1 month's benefit for any amount that goes over, and there's no discretion given to the staff or to the board. So I want to give you all a brief overview of the efforts that we undertake to ensure that these situations do not happen, and then talk about kind of the couple situations that do happen that is mostly through no fault of the member. So when a retiree of the system works after retirement, what happens is the employer submits that information to us. We then provide a packet to the member of what their limits are under the law, tools to track those limits, and then other information that's relevant as they work after retirement during the school year. What happens then is, as the member gets closer to that limit, usually happens at the end of the school year, obviously, we send letters monthly informing them this is what your limit, this is how many hours, or this is how much salary you have left. Additionally, this past year, our Employer Services Division developed a working after retirement tool for the 530 plus employers of the systems, where those employers now can also track what each member is doing working after retirement, how close. So hopefully through both of those efforts, we can get to the point where the members are understanding what their limitations are. And I'll say for the record, the vast majority of the members never work up and through the limit. This is a very small issue that happens. The membership is always very cognizant of what their limit is, and they want to stay under that limit to ensure that they don't forfeit the benefit. But even still, what happens sometimes is the limit is reached. And in the situation that the senator described, and I'll describe another situation, it either can be a training that occurs, or it could be insurance premiums, which are part of the working after retirement consideration. What happens sometimes is the payroll is processed over the summer, so after the May date by which most members are done working. So that member thinks they're fine, they're okay on the limit, they receive the letters from us, it looks good on our end, on their end, and then a payroll occurs over the summer, and it could be a December training that the employer has then reported, they then go over the limit. The problem in the current law is there is no discretion for the Board of Trustees. It states that the member shall forfeit the benefit of any month in which they went over, which will usually always be the last month of the school year. So what this bill simply does is it says the lesser of the penalty or the amount you worked over or the monthly benefit you shall be provided back to the systems. So it makes the systems whole. There's no issue there. It has no cost to us because we don't frankly consider penalties as part of our actuarial evaluation. It has two other provisions in the bill. One provision that occurs as it relates to working after retirement salary calculation. What happens in certain circumstances is a position either doesn't have a salary schedule or wasn't previously existing. And what happens sometimes is school boards will try to define what the salary is. That's not currently allowed under the law. It's frankly an issue that we deal with in Employer Services. This just provides another option there. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions you all may have. And again, I appreciate the Senator's time on this issue.
Are there any questions of this witness? Thank you very much. I think some of us have heard this over the years, so we have some idea what's going on. Anyone else testify in favor? Thank you, sir.
Matt Michelson with the Missouri State Teachers Association, go on record in support. We think this would benefit our members. As Mike said, we also get calls towards the end of the year when teachers that have worked all year are trying to decide if they can sub those last few days, and they're getting reports from multiple districts, so trying to figure out how time and how the dollars are counted, and then wondering whether or not they'll lose that month's benefit. So I'd like to go on record in support.
Any question? Thank you. Anyone else to testify in favor? Anyone to testify opposing? Anyone for informational purposes only? Thank you very much, Senator. Any closing remarks?
No, I mean, everybody knows how we're having trouble with teacher shortages and that, and I just think this is a common sense solution that will help the teachers and the school districts and everybody. So, thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right, for those of you waiting, I want to make sure what people's schedule were, and we're going to go ahead and do attendance now, but we're going to finish testimony on the bills before we vote, if you're sitting out there wondering. Okay, with that, Mr. Secretary, will you call the roll?
Senators Black, Gannon, Bratton, Eigel, McCreary, Roberts, Schroer.
Okay, we do have a quorum. The next bill that we're going to hear is from Senator Schroer. If you're ready, let's please present your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, for the record, Senator Schroer, District 2, presenting Senate Bill 1267. I'm going to spend just a quick minute illustrating what this bill is. It's just one paragraph, and it's non-controversial, as I think all of the different parties involved, whether it's the city, the police retirement system, are all in favor of clarifying this issue. Senate Bill 1267 is aimed at clarifying what, quote, earned compensation means as used by the police retirement system of St. Louis. This bill clarifies that compensation or monies received through a judgment or a legal settlement with the city of St. Louis will not be encompassed within that definition of earned compensation. Very simply, this ensures that when an individual is not paid into the retirement system for a given rank, you cannot pull out of that retirement for that given rank. The issue arose when the city has been sued and the city settles with an individual and say part of that settlement is to pay out what that person would have been paid at a higher rank, but they've never achieved that rank. The retirement system is not part of the suit in any way, but the settlement in the broad language that's currently in law leaves individuals not knowing if they will now receive that same retirement for that settlement. This will not impact the plaintiff's rights or the ability to settle with the city. It merely protects the retirement system by linking actual retirement to earned compensation for what was actually contributed. The one-sentence inclusion of into the existing law will take care of this issue and will protect the integrity of the police retirement system from any of the aforementioned issues. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Do any senators have questions of the senator? No. Anyone testify in favor of the bill? I think maybe you've done this before, but name, document.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, and members of the committee. My name is John Barget. I'm a registered lobbyist on behalf of the St. Louis Police Retirement System. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, for hearing this bill, and thank you, Senator, for sponsoring it. The Senator did a very good job of explaining it. We just have a unique situation that has crept up quite recently over the last few years in St. Louis City. The St. Louis Police Retirement System is not part of city government, and therefore when an officer may choose to sue the city for alleged discrimination, That has nothing to do with us. It has to do with employment. And then when settlement is reached, there is no mention of the retirement system in that settlement. It's a lump sum payment made. The officer in question, pardon me, then knocks on our door and says, I would like to receive my retirement at the rank that I had tried to achieve but was unsuccessful. And no one has paid into the system for that rank. This clarifies it. As I mentioned to Senator McCreary as we were talking earlier, it is a pretty uncomfortable situation as our retirement system is made up of 2 retirees, 2 existing officers, and then individuals that serve the various city offices. Many of these officers have served with a person that might be coming before them. It puts everyone in an awkward situation, and I quite honestly don't know that it's the fairest way to do things. People remember things about people they worked with sometimes. I think this clarifies it, as the senators put. The police, Fraternal Order of Police, Mr. Mark Bruns authorized me to say they were fine with it. The City of St. Louis Mayor's Office is fine with it, as is the PRS, sir.
Is there any questions of the witness? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have anybody else testify in favor? Anyone testify opposed? Informational purposes only. Seeing none, that will conclude the hearing on Senate Bill 1267. Okay, now we're going to go to Senator Crawford's bill. I believe that's 1332. Senator Crawford, please begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Sandy Crawford, District 28. Thanks for giving us this time slot today. So Senate Bill 1322 would allow members of the Missouri National Guard to be awarded tuition for courses at a post-secondary institution located in the state that's state-supported after they utilize their federal tuition assistance. They would not be eligible for the state funds until they utilize the federal. It also lays out the guidelines in the bill. Currently, the way the service members are being paid, it only allows for about 50% of their cost. The intent of this bill is to raise that to 100%. The bill also allows the service member to make a one-time transfer of the funds to include to their spouse. So the reason for this bill is currently the Missouri National Guard has about 900 positions that are open and they need to fill them. Obviously, being able to offer tuition is a big selling point to get those positions filled. That 900 positions that they're short actually would amount to about $6.5 million of influx to our state's economy, with a total economic impact of $12 million. So this would just be another tool in the toolbox that they can use for a recruiting incentive. And I think it's important for us to support our service members who sacrifice so much for us. Just this morning, it was brought to our attention that we may need to make a few changes. And Senator Black, we were in a meeting yesterday, and you mentioned some things that you had concerns with, and we kind of had a powwow right before this hearing. Some of the parties that have some issues with this, along with the National Guard, and I think we have some work to do on this bill. I think there's a place we can get to. We're probably going to have to make some tweaks to this to make it not so open-ended, but we are committed to doing that. As a matter of fact, like I said, the parties kind of met in the office just a few minutes ago. So with that, I will finish my testimony. I can try to answer questions, but I have an expert, or more than one expert, behind me that will do a much better job.
Does anybody have any questions of the senator? Seeing none, let's start with people in favor of the bill. Please come forward. State your name and certainly turn in the correct paperwork.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I'm Major General Levon Compton. I'm the Adjutant General for the Missouri National Guard, and obviously proud to be in that role and on this great team. And I'm here to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1322, and I appreciate Senator Crawford sponsoring this bill. The Missouri Guard prioritizes and focuses our efforts and resources in support of our unique mission, and which is both a federal and state mission. And we fight and win our nation's wars, and when called upon by Governor Parson, we protect Missouri citizens. We are a people-first organization, and therefore our top priority will always be our members. We are honored to be here representing your Missouri National Guard, consisting of almost 12,000 soldiers and airmen and civilian employees who work and live in every county across our great state. I'm sure each of you have a friend or family member or neighbor who serves in the Guard. I'm here to discuss the importance of this legislation initiative aimed at providing educational assistance to Missouri Guardsmen and improving our personnel end strength. For decades, we've been able to tell young men and women interested in serving their state and country they'll receive 100% tuition when they join the Guard. This has been a tremendous incentive. In fact, we're very proud we can provide the means for college education to kids who otherwise can't afford one. They join our force and complete their college degree because of the benefits of state tuition assistance. Due to recent changes in tuition at the University of Missouri, the Missouri Guard is no longer able to fully fund education assistance to its service members. This year, service members receive approximately 50% of the University of Missouri's maximum tuition rate. We are one of 11 states in the nation that cannot promise 100% college tuition to our service members. Additionally, recruiting across Missouri Guard has declined 30% over the last 2 years. This decline has caused the assigned strength of the Missouri Army National Guard to drop 10%, whereas in the Air National Guard it's dropped 8% since 2021. Recruiting challenges across the nation have been widely reported, and Missouri is no different. We're in a war for talent, with many civilian organizations that now offer similar or better incentives and reduce our ability to attract young people. It's truly, the competition has never been more fierce. To reverse this trend, the Missouri National Guard examined recruiting and retention practices in high-performing states, to include our own, to determine what enabled their success. Based on this analysis, the Missouri Guard took action. We increased staffing and recruiting, intensified engagement at community events, renewed command emphasis on retention, maximized use of existing federal incentives, and started researching and staffing state-funded incentives. While these actions have helped, they have not reversed the downward trend in recruiting and end strength. Simply put, we need incentives for our citizens who want to serve. And supporting young men and women's desire to further their education while serving is our #1 marketing tool. Therefore, this legislative initiative is designed to recruit more service members into our force through tuition assistance and the promise of a college education. I'd like to briefly talk to you about the Guard's need to remain ready. This past year, we trained 10,000 soldiers and airmen at our 65 armories, readiness centers, and training sites across Missouri. Our readiness build ensures we can accomplish missions here at home when disaster strikes Missouri. Missions that assist our citizens like COVID-19 relief, response to flooding, winter storms, tornadoes, and even civil unrest at times. And we have a vitally important federal mission. Last year, we deployed over 700 Guardsmen across the globe in support of our nation's defense and our national security. This year, we'll deploy another over 600 to places like Africa, the Middle East region, Eastern Europe, and the Southwest border. Our decline in personnel means the Guard has reduced capability to respond to state emergency duty as well as our federal mission. Additionally, decreased manning results in the Missouri Guard receiving less federal funding. We are currently, as Senator Crawford's mentioned, 900 service members short. If we were able to recruit those members with this new bill, we would bring in an additional $6.5 million in federal pay and allowances. This equates, again, as Senator Crawford has already mentioned, a $12 million impact to the state of Missouri. We must have additional incentives to draw in new members so we can continue to build and maintain our readiness for what the Missouri Constitution requires of us. We believe this legislation initiative will not only enhance the educational opportunities for Missouri's troops and build an educated workforce for Missouri, but will also serve as a critical step in ensuring the Guard's ability to meet its dual mission that again provides for the safety and security of Missouri citizens. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for allowing us this time to come in and testify in support of this bill. And I look forward to any questions you may have. And thanks for your service to our state.
I'm going to be the first one to ask questions. Senator Crawford did just discuss, there is conversations going on. Some of it's based around things that we discussed yesterday in Senator Crawford's office, with the budgetary impacts of this, both for the state as well as for those schools involved. Is that what some of the discussions are around that? Is anybody going to mention on a microphone what's going on, or we're just going to keep working on it, then we'll talk about it as we move forward?
We would appreciate that latter opportunity, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? Yes, Senator.
So you mentioned the University of Missouri. Is it just used as like to figure out like the average rate of tuition for the state, so that like I'm trying to figure that out. So in the fiscal note it says the total of the number of credit hours taken multiplied by the average tuition cost per credit hour charged to a Missouri resident at University of Missouri. So that's how you figure out the average tuition rate, is based on what's going on at the University of Missouri. You mentioned in your comments that you're bringing this bill forward because of some changes at the university. Can you expand on that?
Yes, Senator, thanks for the question. And yes, the tuition rate at the University of Missouri is what we set our tuition assistance rate against. And it's the increase of tuition assistance and fees at the University of Missouri that has caused the increase of tuition assistance that has allowed us to fund the 50% that I addressed earlier.
And is it based on University of Missouri in Columbia, or an average of all the universities, or?
I'm glad to follow up, but it's my understanding it is the University of Missouri's tuition assistance rate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other further questions? Thank you very much, sir, and
Mr.
thank you for
Chairman.
your service.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody else testify in favor?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Chief Master Sergeant Jessica Settle. I'm the senior enlisted leader for the Missouri Air National Guard. This means that I'm representing approximately 1,800 enlisted airmen across the state. I'm here to testify in favor of Senate Bill 1322. I'd like to share a personal story of an airman. This particular airman is my daughter, Lindsay. Although this is just one story, she represents many of the thousands of airmen and soldiers. Lindsay raised her right hand to support and defend our state and nation at the age of 17. Although she had a desire to serve, the biggest motivation for her joining the Missouri Air Guard was we promised 100% state tuition assistance. Lindsay graduated high school early in December and attended basic military training and technical training, with aspirations to attend Mizzou upon completion of all of her military requirements. For the first 3 years she attended Mizzou, served in the Air Guard, and we paid 100% of her tuition. She is currently completing her senior year at Mizzou in the occupational therapy program and is a straight A student. This past year, she has had to pay approximately $2,000 per semester due to the restructuring at Mizzou's tuition and assistance, which impacted the Guard's ability to pay 100% tuition. She has fulfilled her commitment to the Guard, meeting all military requirements, standing ready should we receive that call, and Bill 1322 would ensure we fulfill our commitment to her. Like Lindsay, the ability to serve and continue to pursue higher education is a top priority for our soldiers and airmen. This time I will take any questions.
Does anyone have questions of the witness? No, thank you very much. Anyone else testify in favor? Thank you, sir.
Chairman, members of the committee, Jewel Paddock, registered lobbyist on behalf of Missouri National Guard Association, and registered 501c19. Just want to go on record in support of this bill. Obviously, for all the reasons stated previously, this is a fantastic tool to recruit and retain our young people choosing to both serve their country and seek a higher education. Be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Are there any questions of this witness? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else testify in favor? Thank you, sir. Please state your name.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Paul Wagner. I represent the Council on Public Higher Education, which is shorthand for all the public universities outside of the UM system. We'd like to go on record in support of this. We've had good conversations with the sponsor on the House side and with Senator Crawford about making this, adjusting the language in this bill to be something that everyone can work with. I'm optimistic that we'll be able to find something that will work, so I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. Any questions of this witness? Thank you. Anybody else testify in favor?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Dusty Schneiders, and I'm the government liaison for the University of Missouri system, and we just want to go on the record in support of this bill. I don't want to reiterate what Mr. Wagner said, but I will be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir. Hopefully I'm involved at least at the end, knowing that things have worked out. Okay. Anybody testify opposing the bill? Anybody testify for informational purposes only? With that, Senator Crawford, any closing comments?
Just a quick comment. The parties that were in the room before we got here have testified in favor of the bill, and I do believe that's because they're assured that we're going to come to a conclusion that's going to be workable for all parties. So thank you for the ability to for hearing the bill today.
Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you. That includes any testimony on bills that we have scheduled today. Now we're going to go into executive session and get ready to vote some bills out. Everybody ready? I move to go into executive session. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, nay? The ayes have it. I move to bring Senate Bill 1157 in front of the committee. Do I have a second? We have a second. Senate Bill 1157 was heard on February 7th and would allow public officers removed from office by quo warranto action to receive not be able to receive public retirement benefits. Hopefully this was Senator Fitzwater. Does anybody have any questions or discussion before we move on? I move that we do pass Senate Bill 1157. Do I have a second? Second. Matt, would you please take roll call?
Senators Black. Aye. Gannon. Aye. Bratton. Eigel. McCreary. Aye. Roberts. Schroer. Aye.
By your vote of 4-0, Senate Bill 1157 has been voted to pass. I now move to pass Senate Bill 912. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. I have a committee substitute ending in .02C. You should have received record of that, and if anybody has any questions, we'll discuss that in a minute. And I move for its adoption. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor of adopting the committee substitute, please say aye. Aye. Okay. Now, with this committee substitute, if you did not check it out, there's an Army of Occupation medal that members of our service can receive. And this is an area on a special license plate that we do not offer in the state of Missouri. Both myself and the sponsoring senator, Senator Brown, has spoken with Department of Revenue, and there seems to be no problem with being able to bring this forward. It will not cause additional problems, and there's already a system where people receive this certificate. I don't know for sure what they receive, that they'll be able to take the Department of Revenue and guarantee that they were Army of Occupational Medal recipients. So is there any other questions? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. I now move that we do pass Senate Committee Substitute for Senate Bill 912. Do I have a second? We have a second. Matt, please call the roll.
Senators Black,
Aye.
Gannon, Bratton, Eigel, McCreary, Roberts, Schroer.
By a vote of 4-0, the bill is to pass. Now, with that, I move that we go out of executive session. We have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. At this point in time, if nobody on the committee has any other questions, I move we adjourn. Second. Adjourn.